Hi friends! This is DaintyTank. Thank you for joining me. Welcome back to Fatal 12 Part 12. Fatal 12 Part 12. Woohoo! Also start Pride Month. I got a little excited and jumped the gun like a day early on this last recording. Totally fine by me. That's fine. More Pride. That's cool. I was just really excited. Anyways, thank you for joining me. I hope you're enjoying this so far. So this is really getting interesting. We saw Miharu eliminate Sonya last time. In doing so, offered up her name, which is, very critical. It's one of 3 things needed to eliminate another person, and so, she just gave that to everybody. And there's 8 people left. So it's kind of a lot. But throughout the day, it was found out that Miharu's going to meet us later in the evening at Lion House. But in the meantime, we ran into Naomi, who wanted our help with going and getting stuff. But then we spotted number 4, I do believe it is, who looks very suspicious, and we have their cause of death card, which, is Rinka's cause of death card. It's fairly straightforward there, but knowing more about the person is important. So, interesting to see what happens next. Rinka's going to follow this person, and we'll see how this goes. Woohoo! Hope you're enjoying this. I am enjoying the heck out of it. Alright, let's click in. Okay. I respond with a firm nod before we part ways. Sorry, Naomi. Apologize to her under my breath as we split up. Next, I pick up my pace to keep the girl in sight. Girl-boy thing? Woo! No! After 30 minutes of trailing her, we finally reach what seems to be her destination. Upon leaving Shinjuku Station, we take the Chow line all the way to the residential district. Judging by her familiarity with the area, she must live around here. She certainly doesn't look Japanese, but there aren't any hotels around here. That means she probably isn't here on holiday with her family, unlike Sonya. That leaves only one alternative. It's hardly surprising, though. Lots of foreigners live in this area. Okay, here we go. She stops in front of and then makes her way into one of the houses. Looks like a pretty old place, older than the houses around it anyway. Another thing that makes it stick out is how run down it is. A decent earthquake could probably shake it down with ease. It's hardly a pro when it comes to tailing people, but I think it's safe to say that I wasn't noticed. There's no need for me to escalate things yet, so I check out the nameplate at the entrance after making sure she's gone inside. It's a bit faded, but not enough to make it illegible. Ushizuka. Safe to say that's the surname of the house's owner. Does the same apply to her, though? My instinct says no. In fact, it's entirely possible that she's squatting in an empty home for some temporary logic. Ducking behind a wall of the house next door, I try to eavesdrop on any conversations going on. Lucky for me, I'm able to hear something. Nothing specific, but the walls are thin enough to leak out the voices from inside. Sounds like there are at least 2 people inside. One is like the girl, but the other sounds like an old man. I guess that the latter owns the place, which means the girl is probably staying with his permission. I wonder, does my card book work with conversations involving someone who isn't a participant? Considering I was able to hold that conversation with that one tourist before I even knew anything about Divine Selection, probably safe to assume it does. I should head back. It's my best option for now, especially when I can't make out exactly what they're saying. Just as I'm about to walk away, a passerby starts talking to me. She's in her early 40s and is carrying a bag from the supermarket. I can assume she's out buying things for dinner. Oh, are you acquaintance of Mr. Ushimazuka? Local housewife. Not quite, no. I was taken back at first, but she might know something about the girl if she lives in the area. When did the foreign child start living here? Oh, I see that it's caught your attention as well. Her face twists into a sly grin in addition to her response. know her type. That's the exact same expression made by kids at school when they gossip about others. No one's certain why, but at least at some point he just cut off ties with the outside world. He rarely leaves the house, so for a time, rumors kept spreading about how he starved himself to death, but then we'd notice him lurking around and carried on with our lives. It doesn't help that the cases of old folks dying all alone are on the rise, too. But anyway, people first noticed that girl around a month or so back. Rumor has it that there are some dubious circumstances between them. In fact, some say that he used to frequent certain illicit establishments. That his child, oh goodness me, shouldn't be telling young ladies such things. It's funny, but the look on her face practically screams that she wants to keep going. So no one knows who she really is. That's right, all sorts of bad rumors around the man, including his nefarious deeds abroad, so no one wants to get too involved. Of course, nobody wants to risk earning his wrath by reporting him to the police either. I've even heard rumors about that girl has some sort of illness, which is even more reason for folks to keep their noses clean. Probably best off not getting involved either, says the noisy person who got involved. Thank you for your concern. Just listening to her gab on and on has pissed me off. I won't judge anyone for hazarding a guess at something, but using it as an excuse to spread unsavory rumors about him feels wrong. Plenty of older people live by themselves, so why would they make comments at his expense about it? Having given her my thanks, I use it as an excuse of my own to cut the conversation off there. My hunch seems to have been on the mark at least. Might be able to find something out about the girl if I talk to him. Should head home for now, though. I still got the store to attend to. Uh-huh. And you probably got her notice. I make sure to message Naomi on the train home. I assume she's worried about me, all things considered. NPR send note, all things considered. This time brought to you by Naomi. She's always worried about me and might have a crush. No point giving an in-depth report, so I just text a quick summary. It doesn't take long for her to reply, tell me to get in touch if I need help. She said something similar when we split up too. I mean, yeah, but like, it's true. You could use her as a research arm. That'd be really cool. Something's definitely suspicious about the situation between those two. I'm curious about her thoughts on the matter, but that would just invite the same gossip as that lady. Need to handle this on my own. It's down to me to gather as much information as I can. Research arm. Instead, I simply reply with a, "It's all good," to which she replies with an emoji. Need to handle this on my own. It's down to me to gather as much information as I can. Didn't you just say that? Meanwhile, at the open house, I prep to open the stores as soon as I get back. A few people swing by, but no one stays for long because it's a weeknight. Once 9 p.m. rolls around, I close up shop. Miharu stops by around then, just like she said she would. Here we go. Hey there. Hey yourself, let me get you some coffee. Thanks. Should you really be giving out freebies though? I nod and follow up by telling her that we might be here for a while. After making enough for both of us, I move over to our usual table. It's 9 p.m. and you're having coffee. Maybe that's a thing? Oh, here we go. Is it safe to assume you're looking to confirm certain things with me? Yeah. She wastes no time in getting to the meat of things. She takes a sip of her coffee before going on. As delicious as ever. Thanks. But let's not get off topic. That night, when I caught you and Sonia discussing something, it was about my cause of death card, wasn't it? Yep. I bet you hadn't anticipated her being in possession of one of your cards. She didn't keep it a secret with any intentions, though. Apparently, she just didn't want you to suspect her even more. I can't blame her, considering how I acted when we first met. Anyone in your position would have done the same. That's why I made it a point to confirm with her whether or not she had any of our cards. As it turned out, she also had your name card. Right. Wait. As it turned out, she also had your name card. Okay. had your name card as in Miharu's name card. Right. She mentioned she regretted her choice. That it would have been better to have thrown her fear of not being trusted away, told us the whole truth. That sounds just like her. No argument there. It's almost upsetting just how innocent that girl was. Memories of us sitting together at this very table come flooding back. It's like we were nothing more than 3 friends hanging out. You know that numeral 11 is looking to eliminate as many people as she possibly can, so I wanted to make sure she couldn't get her hands on my card. More importantly, though, the prospect of her snatching up your card terrified me. And that's why you opted to eliminate Sonya instead. Hesitate to press the issue any further. Mainly because it involves questioning how she can remain so calm and collected in the face of all of this. It's entirely possible that I'll hear something I don't want to if I ask. And yet I end up asking her anyway. Thank you! How can you stay calm after her elimination? Did it mean nothing to you? Is there any need to waste my time feeling upset? I can bring myself to snap anything back to her. It's the exact response I was afraid I'd hear. It's not like I don't understand her point. I know that there's no point in being upset. You honestly have no issues taking that stance? I don't. My course was set the moment I learned that you're a participant. My life exists solely for yours now. Come on. I wish you'd stop saying that. I've heard you more than I've ever wanted. I've heard it more than I ever wanted. Can't help but be blunt. Well, I expect such a reply. It's still not what I wanted to hear. I don't have it in me to say anything more, though. It's barely been a day since it happened, so I can understand why you're distraught. In fact, your ability to worry like this is one of your stronger points. Tone of her voice doesn't falter. We should probably wrap up for the night, though. Although, would you mind if I stayed a bit longer? I haven't gotten to finish my coffee yet. My only response is a quick nod. Just as she said, I'm still distraught over what happened. What's worse, I seem to get more aggravated at night. I end up waiting for Miharu to finish her coffee. I can't bring myself to look her in the eye during that time. Not even once. Oh, well then, I should be going now. Mind waiting for a minute? Stop her just as she's ready to walk out. There's still one more important question left for me to ask. Your previous surname was Hibinata, right? I know there have been issues at home and stuff, but I was always curious why I didn't have your name card. And then it triggered with Hibinata Miharu rather than Mishima Miharu, so I'm Mishima Miharu on my family's register, just so you know. Yeah, so it creates a whole lot of doubt for me when it comes to the criteria of creating new cards. Yes, and those doubts aren't unfounded. Our lovely little goddess seems to have skimped over her explanation relating to the process. Call it a loophole of sorts. I managed to catch the brief glimpse of sadness in her expression. There's no doubt that she's not very comfortable discussing this topic, and yet she's doing her best to act unfazed for my sake. I make no effort to stop her, though. She knows that I've noticed, which is why she's bothering to explain it in the first place. First things first, I need to apologize for not telling you the truth. Her explanation grows more pained as she says that. I feel kind of bad about it, so I can only imagine how she feels. The only way I can explain it is by divulging even more information about myself. I said that my surname became Mishima after my parents got divorced, but, well, that's not quite right. You know full well that my mother isn't the greatest person in the world. In fact, let me make it clear that I loathe her. Oh, she's talked to me about her mom before, albeit briefly. About her habit of wasting money and her failure to do any chores, for instance. That's why Miharu has several part-time jobs and has to deal with the household chores as well. Ugh. Unlike most students at Amicia, She's far from financially sound. The only reason she can attend is due to her scholarship. If I had things my way, I'd take my father's surname, but alas, I'm stuck with this one. I sense that there's a lot more to this than what she's telling me. It's likely that everything she suffered through links back to whatever that could be. You'd think that the rules pertaining to our individual cards would be grounded with logic, but that isn't the case. In fact, they seem to rely far too much on one's personal perception. Personal perception. Personal perception, You can't make blind guesses when it comes to someone's cause of death and regret cards. Knowledge of the events surrounding them is a requirement. Each participant's perception of those events takes priority. In other words, there's no universal criteria in place for participants when it comes to creating new cards. That's Miharu's point. In my case, I've yet to accept that my name is really Mishima Miharu. That's why your name card is Hibanaza Miharu instead. Considering our cards are linked to the dream world, a deep part of the psyche, I really must be against taking on the Mishima name. They might be a lot more logical than you think. Think about it. No one's born with a name. It's on someone else to give them one. The names aren't set in stone either. If it weren't for Kikyo, probably would have agreed with Miharu. But now, this is how I truly feel. Surnames change all the time due to marriage. Not only that, but you can even get it changed legally if so inclined. Like Alan Scorpion, maybe? It's not always cut and dry like that, sure, but names are still something that reflect a person's individuality over all else. I apologize, I'm still having some issues with pronunciation because of dental issue, so I think I have a little bit more of a lisp, but that's okay. I can talk some queerness. I certainly hadn't thought about it that way. Perhaps my concern about my name was obstructing my outlook on the bigger picture. It's a bit of an exaggeration. Still, I feel like my doubts have been cleared up. Sorry for the confusion. Nah, don't worry about it. We've all got our baggage. You'll always be the same Miharu to me, regardless of what happens. She giggles with a smile in response to my proclamation. It's not forced smile either. It is sincere, one of relief. While slightly off topic, I was worried they would start to avoid me after what I said in the Court of Fate. Really, I knew exactly what you were doing. Assuming things went as planned, some of the other participants may be giddy over how we got into a big fight. I have nothing more to say to you at the moment. The other participants must have figured out our relationship because of how we'd been talking to each other since the very first election. In fact, Sonia assumed that we were friends from the start too. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Doop. Save data. Okay. Just in case. Indeed, regardless. Really should be on my way. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Take care. Okay. I gotta lean, I'll see you tomorrow. Right? You sure that's saved? Like, to me, they look the same, right? Like, I'll see you tomorrow seems like much more optimistic, so. I'll see you tomorrow. She smiles and makes an ever so elegant exit from the store. Funny, I made coffee thinking we'd be talking for a while, but the real conversation only began after we finished drinking it. Take a moment and stare at Miharu's empty cup before getting back to my usual routine. Sure. We, most of the time, we're basically just watching Rinka getting up and going to bed. I think it's all driven by her REM cycle. Already morning. Slept so soundly last night that I didn't even dream. Dreams. Hard to believe such a concept has taken on a whole new meaning for me. Never considered the possibility of a whole other world existing within our dreams. Not to mention a goddess like Parsa coming along and connecting me with others throughout said world. I mean, who can imagine meeting complete strangers within our own dream? Be a romanticized situation if this were a shoujo manga, I'm sure. Cast my mind back to the other participants' appearances. So I remember something crucial. One's an old man! Naomi's message from yesterday springs to mind. She said that there's definitely something suspicious about that girl and where she's staying. It's not just any old man either. He's Japanese. The man is number 5. Might be on to something. Actually, I should have caught on right away. There's still plenty of time before I need to be at school. I want to try something. My decision made. Make my way to the old man's house. Whoa! That's way out of the way. Fortunately, I make it all the way out without getting lost. It's a pretty tricky route after all, but jotting down the address yesterday turned out to be worth it. But I probably would have been fine without it, considering I've somehow managed to memorize the route. Yeah, this is very impressive. This is it. I make sure to keep some distance away to avoid looking suspicious. It might be early in the morning, but people are still passing through. Once the area empties out, I check inside his mailbox. I feel pretty bad about doing this, but it's necessary. There are a slew of papers in there, definitely more than a day's worth. Most of them are from credit debt collectors. Not just one collection agency either. There are multiple different senders. Ignore all that. Grab a random letter and remove it from the box. Must see to whom it's addressed, of course. Uzazuka Shiketsugu. That's the name of old man living here. Just be sure to check a few other letters as well. They all cite the same name. All that's left is to get a glimpse of his face. Consider waiting for him to leave the house, but need to remain mindful of the time. As important as this is, I still have school. Helps that I'm probably safest there too. Just decided to stick around for as long as I can and notice 2 figures in the distance. 2 figures that I recognize even. One male, the other female. Both are foreigners and tall. It's them. There's still plenty of different distance between them, so I can't make out their faces. Not that I need to. I could tell it's them based on their silhouettes. Not only are they participants, but they also the most dangerous duo by far. It's Odette and Frederico. 3 and 11. Frederico Carminati and his partner. I instinctively duck for cover. They have to be targeting the girl. Either that, or they're looking into the relationship between her and the old man, just as I am. Assuming he turns out to be a participant, it's likely they've tracked him down to here. Numero 11 is carrying a notepad. I assume she's gotten a hold of his address somehow. In that case, they must be coming for him instead of the girl. After all, she wouldn't be listed as living here. Just as I am deciding whether to stick around or head to school, the front door gets propped ajar. Noticing this duo duck into a nearby alley. For I could tell, numero 11's the one who prompts them to do so. That surprised me. She seems like the kind of person to leap in when the opportunity presents itself, so I don't expect her to tread carefully. Both the girl and the old man are likely aware of the situation they put themselves in, so it's only natural for them to scout out their surroundings before they leave the house. Deciding that the coast is clear, the door swings open. Light pours out of my bag all of a sudden. The moment the old man steps out of the house, in fact, that's when I become certain that he's Ushizuki Shigetsugu. His appearance matches what I saw in the dream world, a tenacious-looking old man. I got the impression he was a shut-in of sorts before, but his current attire of a sweater and loose pants says the opposite. Number 11 and Federico remain hidden for some reason. Regardless, I've confirmed that Ushizuki is a bona fide participant. It's safe to say that I'm putting myself in danger if I stay any longer. As such, I slink back to the station, taking care not to bump into any of the others. I'm impressed if you got away safely there. Like, that, if all of you were right there, someone must have noticed you. You're kinda sticky-outy there, Rinka. Looks like we're right on the money. I whispered to Odette when the old-timer leaves his house. Shh, you dumbass. She may have whispered, but she also slams her foot down on mine. God, gotta admit, she's uncharacteristically cautious at times like this. You'd think someone massive like her would charge right in, but nope. She even keeps us a fair distance from the house to ensure we aren't seen. Granted, putting this much distance between us means she gets that her massive body doesn't lend itself to stealth. Enough about her. Let me recall how we ended up here in the first place. Me and Odette had a talk about who to target after the third election, where that crazy thin Japanese lady got eliminated. Crazy thin Japanese? Oh, Kikyo. Got it. Odette's intuition played a big part of us targeting Ro, so we still hadn't made use of the cards we were dealt at the beginning, knowing there'd be a name or two among those initial cards. We decided to go after whoever was in my set. Normally, I'd be against showing off my cards, but Odette told me which card she'd taken from Ro immediately afterwards, so, well, not like she chose to do that without planning to get something in return. Turns out, I had that Russian kid's name card, Sophia something something. Kid had been through some rough stuff, but ain't any of my concern. We took her parents hostage, and Odette got her to spill her life story. Thing is, she implied that she had one of Odette's cards. Not only that, but Odette decided to give her some time to screw around. Time to let her get over her regret, really. Can't say why she did it, but there ain't no point in trying to get into that woman's head. I won't have been able to learn much from Sophia with just her name, so decided not to complain. Had things gone according to plan, Odette would have eliminated Sophia, but that Miharu broad one-upped her. Make no mistake, Odette ain't the type to let something like that slow her down. We're the same in that regard. Plenty of things went awry for me back in Italy, but I never took issue with it. In fact, those situations are when people expose their worst side. You gotta make the most of that. Just like I said in the Court of Fate, 2 of the 3 cards dealt to me at the beginning belong to participants that have already been eliminated. Next up is numero 5, Yoshizuka Shinjiga Sugo. Blah, blah, blah. Yep. Odette had his name card, so we used to dig up dirt on him, and here we are. Hey, Space Cadet, get it together, we're heading back. Ah, hell. You saying we can't jump the old geezer now and make him squeal? That, or we could break into his house while he's gone. You sure have enough oxygens reaching that brain of yours up in space? Ain't no one crazy enough to do that at this time of day. Not unless they want to get caught and report it to the police. Don't forget, this is a residential district. We can't go wild like with Sophia and Ro. We gotta come back early in the morning, or late at night. Only got ourselves the blame for that. She smashes her foot down on mine again. Guess she isn't too pleased about the implications since she's the only one that stands out. We didn't get any worthwhile info here, did we? So you'd think, but it's easy to take a stab at how he died now that we've seen his house. How's that rundown shot gonna help? Oh, now I see where you're going. You're on point for once. Keep going. Figured out she'd spill the beans if I acted like I caught on, but that didn't go quite as well as planned. No, not to even bother pretending. She smacks my shoulder before she continues. This is a lonely man we're talking about, in a country that's become known for cases of elderly being discovered dead in their homes, no less. Knowing how insular Japan and its people can be, that's probably why it happens so often. Hell, apparently they even have specialists to deal with dead and rotting corpses, too. Anyway, just remember what the woman told you. There's as big of a hint as you can get. The fatty did enjoy running her mouth. Think back to what she told me. Seems like there were rumors of him kicking the bucket since he rarely left the house. Starvation, huh? You think that's it? Insular as Japan might be, it's a developed country. Wouldn't you have gotten retirement or unemployment benefits or something? Under normal circumstances, maybe. The woman did mention that he had a bad back, right? Yeah, that's right, she did. Don't know why she remembers more of this stuff than me, when I was the one who talked to the woman. Don't underestimate lower back pain. Shipmate of mine suffered from it once, and they couldn't bring themselves to move even an inch. So, let's assume the geezer got hit by it out of nowhere, while ignoring the fact that it wouldn't be sudden if he'd been suffering from it before, but he don't got no one to call for help. Everyone's used to him staying inside, so they wouldn't bat an eyelid. Not like he's getting direct care from the government, just disability benefits, so no one's gonna come check on him. All it takes is a week without food, or 3 days without water for someone to croak. Trust me. Okay. Tell she's serious by the tone of her voice. Knowing what she's been involved in, I wouldn't be surprised if her crew had come close to starvation at some point. That, or she's seen it happen to one of her shipmates before. So basically, he starved to death after suffering from some crazy back pain, and all because no one was there to help him. It's possible, but would it really happen until that— wait, whoa! Familiar light emanates from my book. Sign that new card's been made. Same thing happens for Odette too. When she notices, she can't help but grin. It's honestly sickening just how good she is at this. Even so, he seems well enough when he left just now. Same for the Russian kid. Guess that any participants with obvious symptoms are cured of them during divine selection. You're probably on the right track there. Chances are everyone's physical condition gets worse, reverted to a time when they were healthy. She nods in affirmation after repeating what I said. I half expected her to say she doesn't care, so it takes me by surprise. Her expression reverts to its usual state, and then she turns around. Alright, we got enough info for today. Let's head back. We head back the way we came, making sure to not be spotted by Ushizuka. Uh-huh. Unbeknownst to Rinka, Alan had been tailing her for the past few days. It brings him to a residential district where— oh god. Alan's been tailing Rinka. Oh god. Jeez. Like, everybody's there. That means everybody's there. It's literally like— we've only got eight participants, of which 6 are at this gathering place. It's very impressive. Unbeknownst to Rinka, Alan has been tailing her for the past few days. Brings him to a residential district where Ushizuka Shingetsugu, whose name he has yet to learn, lives. What's more, he's learned the whereabouts of both her school and lion house. Seeing that she's making her way to school after obtaining the elderly man's name card, chooses to stop tailing her for the time being. He closes his eyes and recalls her figure. Rinka. Eliminating her would prove a simple task, were he to actively focus on it. However, a number of reasons prevent him from doing so. The first is her relationship with numeral 2, Miharu. She may have gone to lengths to make it seem like they had a falling out, but Alan witnessed them being friendly at Lionhouse. It confirmed to him that they were still cooperating. One cannot target Shuzuma Rinka without first dealing with Hibanata Miharu. Alan has no idea which cards she was dealt at the beginning either, which is the main reason for his hesitation in getting involved with her. Her actions during the previous election show she cannot be underestimated. She may have eliminated a girl far younger than herself, but she went head-to-head with numeral 11 to obtain election rights. The biggest reason of all, however, is that Alan has found himself under suspicion with Japan's police. Yeah, that makes sense. His recklessness while obtaining Kamabuchi Kikyo's information still landed him in a tight spot. Also, he seems to be just like wildly flexing his arms to maintain that pecked stance. Just like, it's almost like a Dragon Ball Z villain here. He has to make sure to scout out the positions of each camera in the hospital and cut off those he couldn't avoid, but something unexpected happened. He somehow ended up on the list of suspects responsible for an attack on the hospital. Under normal circumstances, he would use illegal means to ensure that he would not be arrested, but his current situation does not allow for that. Especially because he holds far less influence in Japan than back in India, where his company is based. So you manipulate the police in India. Got it. Alan the jerk. He may have some leeway, but now is no time to flex those muscles, although you look like you're perpetually flexing. Valid as his reasons are, Alan is simply using them as a means to distract himself from the reality of the matter. There's a far simpler reason behind his choice to not pursue Rinka. One that he had not noticed earlier. The look in her eyes, it reminded him of himself. Not only does she lack his amassed fortune, but she is also nowhere near as physically imposing, and yet somehow her eyes burned with determination matching his own. More importantly, Alan has come to learn the old man's name the same way that Rinka did, but he opts not to. To be more accurate, he can't. This thanks to his spotting a particular duo keeping their eye on the old man's home. Numeros 3 and 11. Alan arrived after Rinka's departure, so they likely had no idea she was also there. Numero 11 is in possession of Numero 5's name card, if I recall. That was more than enough reason to understand why she was here. With sufficient connections at one's disposal, learning where someone lives based on their name alone is a simple feat. What surprises Alan is the fact that someone like her would cooperate with Numero 3. The sheer stupidity he displayed in the court of fate had Alan convinced that he could be left for later, but that was no longer the case if he's with Numero 11. It may not seem like it, but Alan has respect for those who have eliminated the other participants. Only 2 people have earned that respect thus far. One is Miharu, the other is Numero 11. Alan can also tell that the latter is no ordinary person. One glance was all he needed to understand her background and the deeds in which she had been involved. Based on what he's seen, she seems to have an upper hand on Numero 3. He must be her foot soldier of sorts. Regardless, I know now what must be done. I know now what must be done. His target switches from the old man to those 2. Keeping an eye on them will likely lead to him getting his hands on Numero 5's information without much effort. Not only that, but discovering where they are based now, while unaware of his plans, will give him the advantage down the line. That may be enough to make up for the disadvantage his celebrity status gives him. He begins to tail the 2, taking extra care not to be noticed. Whoa, Rinka. Jeez. Soon after, Alan returns to the residential district. His attempt to tail them hasn't ended as well as he hoped. Not from being noticed, though. Alan trusts himself to not slip up when it comes to that. However, those 2 must have unconsciously taken a path to shake any potential pursuers. Eventually led to him losing sight of them. My priority should lie with Numero 11. He mutters to himself so as not to stand out. He then makes his way to his own base of operations. Time has come for him to finally take action. Finally? You've been taking action the whole time. You've got 2 people out of 4 weeks. You're half. God. After a long day, I finally have some time to relax in my room. Nothing noteworthy has happened beyond this morning's events. Although, I guess the fact that my class has finally gotten around to prepping for the cultural festival counts as noteworthy. Sounds like they're moving forward with a fortune teller idea. The one in charge will essentially prepare a bunch of fortune-telling methods and use them on whoever stops by. They've gone with this plan because the one in charge wants to test out these so-called methods. Fortune telling, reading one's fate. Funny how they've ended up with that after things I've experienced. At least I'm not involved in plans of being asked for my opinion. They're just gonna ask me and Miharu to help day of. Mao, on the other hand, seems fascinated by the whole thing. She'll be helping to prep it as well as work longer than we will during the festival. All I gotta do is act serious and mutter some cryptic stuff. That's right up my alley. It's just what you expect to hear from her. I wonder if they'll manage to finish everything on time, since the cultural festival is 2 weeks. In 2 weeks. I bet we're the only class this far behind schedule. Phew. I already feel exhausted, and it's barely 10 p.m. Well, it makes sense considering I left house so early this morning. Ushizuka Shigasugu. I repeat the elderly man's name in my head to make sure I don't forget it. I have to find out his cause of death and regret, but I'm not quite sure how to go about it. I'm still curious about that girl staying with him too. Well, I do have her cause of death card. All I know is that fire is involved, nothing else. It's probably the biggest issue with the cards dealt to us at the beginning. First things first, I'm gonna plan what to do moving forward. As if things aren't difficult enough, I've got Frederico and number 11 to worry about as well. Things may have gone well enough yesterday and today, but that doesn't mean I'm a pro when it comes to tailing people and such. Entirely possible that I mess up at some point and get myself stuck in a tight spot. Regardless, I can't sit back and let those two get the upper hand. One option is to throw caution to the wind and approach Ushizuka directly, but that's too risky. Number 11 would likely end up adding me to her list of targets alongside him and the girl if I did that. Try searching Ushizuka Shigasugu on the internet, but I don't get any relevant results. Getting information on him without putting myself out there seems tricky. Can't just waltz over to the city hall and ask for his family register when I'm completely unrelated to him either. So why I'm going to approach things from a different angle. Do I have an advantage over that duo? The majority of the participants, myself included, are from Japan. Plus, most are located near Shinjuku, an area rich with schoolgirls just like me. Keeps me from standing out in most situations, which is advantageous. The only issue is that the sole approach I can think of involves questioning the locals near his residence. You kinda do stick out with your hair, my dear. Actually, that might not be too bad an idea. Yeah, it seems like they're all kinda chatty Cathys there. Did shuffle over there pretty early this morning, so there weren't many people around. It's probably why those two showed up when they did, too. They aimed for a time when few people would be around. But as for me, I don't need to worry about standing out. It's hardly normal to ask questions about some random old man, but hey, I'll still seem less suspicious than either of those two do. Than either of those two doing the same. If I really need to, I can even pretend to be the grandfather of an ex-wife or something. Whew, just need to act like Naomi did at the hospital where Kikyo was. I'll try going in the evening. Everyone's running around shopping around then. Not only does it give me more people to question, but I can also blend into the crowds if need be. With that sorted, I should sleep as much as possible so I'll be ready to take action. Just about to turn the lights off, I hear a distinct meow coming from down by my feet. It's none other than Leith, our friendly little freeloading cat. Oh, what is it, Leith? I always make sure to feed it and have water out, so I doubt it's hungry. It doesn't respond to my question, of course. It'd be pretty freaky if it did. Sorry, I'm gonna go to sleep. I want to give it some attention, but I'm a little too tired tonight. Flick the light off and clamber into bed. Leith follows suit, which is rare. It prefers to sleep atop the covers, not under them. This little rascal has a habit of using my stomach as a pillow too. Stroke its head for a moment before shutting my eyes and focusing on sleep. It's amazing how warm something with such a tiny body can be. Oh? We're gonna stop here. This seems to be very interesting. Something's happening. Alright, well, I hope with that you're enjoying this series. Let me know your thoughts. It's kind of mind-blowing that 75% of the participants left were all at the same place at the same time. And Alan trailing Rinka makes sense. But it's terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. So, with that, comment down below, subscribe, do the things, do the stuff. Tell people it's Pride Month. Send them some gay games from the DaintyTank channel. And with that, I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye!